Star Wars Battlefront playtests. What do we want from this game that we have not actually seen in action?
Mitch, this is you.
Yeah, Star Wars Battlefront's getting revealed in 2 weeks at Star Wars Celebration. I will be there.
I'll be there.
I'll be there too.
Oh my God, you guys
So,
probably
Hey guys, I'm not,
Break
hey guys,
Star
I'm not going
Wars.
to be there.
Ewoks.
Do you like the Star Wars?
I love the Star Wars.
What's your
Which
favorite
one?
Star Wars?
The Phantom Menace.
No one knows which
Get
one
out.
that is because it's a phantom. Disappeared.
I get it.
Did you know that the police did the theme song of the Droids cartoon? Is
What?
That, right?
That
Did I make
sounds
that
like
up?
a real fact.
I've never heard that before.
I don't know
feel
if
like
I made
would
that up.
hear that.
That could be a real fact, or I made it up.
I think you.
I feel like I didn't make it up. Anyway,
All
sorry.
right,
Mitch.
we can look that up later. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's getting revealed. We're gonna get a trailer. I have no idea what we're gonna see, but EA is currently recruiting people to do playtests in Vancouver and Redwood Shores. Pretty sure these registrations are closed. Sorry, you can't go if you didn't already register. But people are gonna be playing this game, and I want to know from you guys. Like, this is a game that I don't know about you. This series is like super near and dear to my heart. I'm really excited that EA. It decided that DICE was going to do. EA and DICE decided, you know what? We're not going to try to do a Battlefield game. We're just going to do Battlefront.
Right.
You know what really was kind of infuriating was that there was I remember the announcement of this that DICE was going to be working on it. Like, that is the most obvious thing. I don't know how. I don't know how weirdly too close to something you have to be to completely miss the point of that. But they were like, they didn't ask DICE or something, and like DICE was like, hey, if you feel like it,
If you have a game, we can make a game.
They were like, really? Do you guys like Star Wars? It's like everyone likes Star Wars. You got what? Yes, of course they should do it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of job, like in game development, when someone says, "Hey, you're going to spend the next 2 years of your life on, a match 3 puzzle game or Star Wars."
Battlefront.
Like, that's the one you want,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Also, if you're spending 3 years on a match 3 puzzle game,
That better be
you're
a
not-
damn good-
You're not doing well. In Trouble Again, the opening theme song to Star Wars Droids was written by Stuart Copeland of The Police.
Wow.
And performed by
Nice.
Copeland.
But it was
wasn't
not the
Sting.
police.
It wasn't Sting. Doesn't count.
So this
Not
game,
canon.
this game is not only important because it comes from a very powerful legacy, but also because it's filling the hole that 1313's cancellation left. Like,
Yeah.
we need that. We really need that next we need that next great Star Wars game to happen. And
We haven't had one in a long.
we haven't had one in a very long time. Like there's been. I'm trying to think of what the last great Star Wars game was.
Republic
Knights of the
Commando.
Old Republic.
Yeah, I guess
Knights of
so.
the-
Yeah.
Was that after?
Republic
And
Commando was
Tiny Death Star.
2005.
Tiny Death Star. Yeah,
Tiny Death
sure,
Star was good.
Sure,
Tiny
I'll
Death
give you
Star
that.
was
That's a good
pretty
game.
I'll give you that. So it's important. I mean, watching that whole the 1313 story happen, and then the cancellation happen, and then the sort of what it could have been happen, crushed me.
That was
that
rough.
was
Yep.
to just be like, hey, here's Uncharted and here's Star Wars. I'm like, great, 2 of my favorite things in the world. They're coming together at last. Oh, awesome. Who's making it? Really talented people. Cool. When can we play it? Never. It's canceled and it's gone. Damn it, no.
Yep.
So to see something in the meantime, like an amazing Star Wars game potentially happen, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I really hope that I hope that they have a campaign in there. You know,
Yeah,
like,
we
do
were
too.
just talking
Me
about
too.
that.
So
Battlefront.
that's why
Yeah.
I've assembled this group today. This is why I've all brought you all here. I want to know. I have like this massive serial killer wall of like things that I want from this game. I've made you a small list today.
Oh boy.
I've solicited some feedback from Twitter about what Twitter wants.
Yeah.
And I want to know what you guys want. I'll hang on to my list, Max. Why don't you tell me more?
That looks
about
like a
yours?
third grader's notebook.
Yeah, I got little doodles of a Ninja Turtle hand on here, a little helmet, robot man, whatever.
Stuff I Want in Star Wars by Mitch Dyer, age
That's
9.
literally what this list is.
You drew like a hand that is he doing the Force? Is that
I don't know
that
what
is?
he's doing. I just drew a thing around it.
Okay, it looks
it's
like-
kind
yeah.
of a Ninja Turtle with lasers around his hand, whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, you want a campaign?
I want a campaign.
I am totally with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care if it's kind of dumb and silly. I just
Yep.
want something that is because like I grew up on Dark Forces, Jedi Knight stuff like that. I like the multiplayer stuff is great, but it takes me a little bit out of it when I'm like in there and then it's like El Loco Raptor 420 is like in there and I'm like
Yeah.
or I like hop in there and I'm like somebody's actually doing like Darth Vader breathing in the mic, but they're not meaning to.
Yeah.
Or you hear like their sister come in and they're like. It's like, Mom, and you're like, damn it.
I hate that.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm right here.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, so in the New Dawn, the Star Wars Rebels book that just came out, on the inside flap of that, there was a list of like every novel, and then it's like Star Wars Rebels is here in the canon. It's a timeline of the canon. In the middle of that, after New Hope, is Star Wars Battlefront.
Really?
interesting.
So
Wow.
it is canonically instantly after New Hope.
This is interesting.
When is the canonically most recent thing after New Hope?
New Dawn comes after Jedi, right?
New Dawn is old. It's Star Wars Rebels. It's like pre
Oh, okay,
New
okay,
Hope.
okay. So what's really
Post-Sith.
interesting is I've been reading the Star Wars comics that are out right now.
They're all so good.
They're really good. If you guys aren't watching them, or
Kanan
reading
just came
them,
out this week. You should read that.
I don't want to read prequel stuff. But that's the thing is
It's
that they're doing.
Don't be dumb.
They're growing out from A New Hope. Like I think this is pretty conscious on Disney's part. Like all of the new Marvel Star Wars comics that are set, at the classic trilogy period are set immediately after A New Hope. Like they're just right out the gate. They're like, here's what Princess Leia's doing. Here's what Darth Vader's doing. Here's what Han and Luke are doing. And is Kanan just around Rebels period?
Kanan is the Jedi in Rebels.
Okay.
And it's his,
there you go.
So,
yeah.
but it's like his backstory, which they don't explore in
Okay.
Rebels. So it is Clone Wars era. But
That's right before A New Hope. Like they're kind of basically just growing out again, and it's really that's interesting because we know the prequels are there. I feel like that's probably still sort of a sore subject for a lot of people. So they're kind of they're kind of trying to build up towards what's going to happen in the new movie.
Yeah.
Interesting to think that they would have a setting for Battlefront. That would seem to imply that there is a campaign.
So that's like I would love that, especially if it is like some kind of like if they have a short story. Like I don't care if that campaign's an hour and a half long. It's just like, hey, this is like what happened on Yavin after after the Death Star blew up.
Well, yeah, or like bridge, Yavin to Hoth. How do we
That'd
get
be a
there?
really
like,
good.
What,
that'd be
what does
really
the
good.
rebellion do in that time period?
That'd be
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
I really hope there is a campaign, and I hope it's longer than an hour and a half. I think a lot of people are looking for a good story with whatever the next Star Wars game is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do want a mix of that. I want foot stuff. I want flying stuff. I want that. There would be a good balance of that. Like we had the last game that really, think about like what was it, Rogue Squadron? That was that the one where you could like those games were great, but the more you started getting out of the ship and running around, the more all of the systems started falling apart.
Yep.
Like all the on foot stuff in those games didn't work.
Right, like it was cool to be able to, as Luke, hop
that was
out
the
of your
third
speeder
one.
and like
Yeah.
jump up into an AT-AT, cut it open, blow it up, and get back
Right.
in.
Totally.
But
Like
why not just shoot it down?
yeah.
But also, like, I'm imagining the battles in this game. I don't know. This is probably not going to happen, but having the Battle of Endor, the entire thing, all four sides of it going on at the exact same time. So you have the troops on the ground. You can hop into a ship. You can literally fly up to the Death Star and engage in the battle there.
Or
it's
you
all
can-
the
you can be an
exact
Ewok.
same match.
Or
Or
you
you be
can
Ewok. And
I want Ewoks. I want
Yeah.
Ewoks in there. I know they're stupid, but if they manage to make them cool and like they're really fast
and
or
you're setting
something,
up traps
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I think that's awesome.
Your
I don't,
thing
I,
is-
great. You
yeah.
can climb trees and no one else can, or
Your
something.
thing's really interesting. Sorry, go
No, I was
ahead.
gonna say I've always loved Ewoks because I love Return of the Jedi.
Me too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But,
The
but
do
to your point about going like,
you remember Dust 514?
yeah.
Yep. The whole EVE Online and Dust 514 hookup.
Oh,
yeah.
man,
'Cause-
yeah.
Which was one of the coolest ideas that kind of didn't really. I don't know if that panned out or not because it's EVE and no one knows what's panning out there because
Yeah.
they're just fine. They're good. They're up in Iceland with their boiled whale and having a good party. Anyway, they had this thing where the Dust 514 was on PS3 and you could play it. It was a third person shooter on the ground. You could shoot guys and run around in jets and stuff. But all the planets in that game were reflected in the PC version of EVE Online. And the naval battles that were taking place intergalactically of people shooting each other's ships and stuff and the goon swarm coming in and messing everything up were reflected in Dust 514, even though that's a different platform. So people on the ground could call in like aerial strike, not aerial strikes, orbital strikes. Thank you for knowing the term
got
for
you.
a thing that doesn't exist in real life yet.
No problem, man.
But yeah, you could call in an orbital strike and then it would actually send that request to somebody playing EVE Online. And that kind of concept is nuts.
I love the idea of like the ground troops have to infiltrate. They have to get that shield down before the people in the sky can get to the Death Star because the shield's still up. That's really interesting. Every tweet I got was, "Yo, ground to space battles, ground to space battles. Like, let me hop on an X-wing and take off into space."
It'd be kind of boring though.
I agree because it would fracture the fight. But if there's an objective like that, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
At the same time, the way I'm imagining it is, I would imagine there would be a Battlefield Bad Company 2 Rush style separation where, as the rebels, you go in, you infiltrate this base, you blow up the thing, you did it. Now you move on to the next phase, which is you all get in your X-wings and you go out into space and then you do it in the same mission.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Like the phase as the Empire, you are succeeding as long as you're on the ground.
That was kind of what I was alluding to. I don't think I want constantly jumping in, jumping out, but having a setup like that would be really smart.
That's something that I feel like Helldivers sort of they didn't really do that, but the fact you could see everyone's dropship, the fact you could call in people from other games. I'd like to see, this is kind of a long shot, I'd like to see some actual character creation And this is obviously kind of a
Interesting.
balancing nightmare, but like the Rebel Alliance is they're kind of a ragtag bunch. You know, you've got some uniforms and
Yeah.
stuff, but it's also, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see like obviously the show Rebels, like they're kind of rough around the edges, you know. I'd like the idea of being able to create your own person, like your own role, and if you want to have more kind of a rank and file type of thing, maybe you could be an Imperial, you know, but like maybe you could be a bounty hunter and you could kind of mix and match your armor. You could pick your different. I
would love that. Yeah, I would absolutely like that. Would appeal to me, and I would be a lot closer to my character than if I was just random rebel
like
gunner.
But that's the
Destiny.
point. Like that's always been the point of Battlefront that I always thought was really interesting. Is you are not the hero. You are not the guy that goes and saves the day. You are an expendable soldier. You are just some random stormtrooper who's going into battle and is going to get shot randomly by an X-wing. Goodbye.
Well, that's also a kind of funny thing is because like the amount of rebels you see in the Star Wars trilogy, like you've got you've got a handful of guys on the Tantive 4 in the beginning, and then the rest of it is following like a really small group of people, and then in Empire you see you kind of get a bigger sense of that. But by the time they get to Return of the Jedi and they've got like a proper thing going, they got like a weird group of people. They got fish guys, they got Lando who's like just sorry about that time I screwed you guys over. Just business is business, you know.
Have you seen Star Wars Rebels?
No, I haven't watched it.
You should.
Should I watch it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it is like such a great character drama. It's really fun. The characters are great. It's beautiful, all that stuff. But like this show is the birth of the rebellion.
I like that.
And there are really, really interesting twists toward the end of the show that show like, oh, this existed. Like this was here before these people knew.
You know what'd be a really cool thing for Battlefront to do would be to bridge the gap between like Clone Wars and original trilogy by having like weird surplus stuff. Like so in the Star Wars comic that's out right now, I think it's either Star Wars or Darth Vader. It might be Darth Vader. Vader goes after some pirates, and the pirates have a bunch of repurposed destroyer droids that have like grenade launchers and crap on them. And it's kind of great because they're like, here's this weird, like it's like fighting a bunch of Claymore mines where you're like, here are things that are left over from a war that's been over for 20 years, but they're still really dangerous. You know, like it's like. I like the idea of this kind of this weird repurposing of army surplus, or like people who've been like the Trade Federation falls apart, but somebody
their technology is still there.
Yeah. And people are making use of it. I mean, like you get like Somalian pirates in real life are using leftover AK-47s from whenever the hell that was a thing. That's a gun that was introduced in 1947 that's still used pretty readily.
That's like a really interesting way narratively to kind of mash the worlds together, to have like, okay, the Imperials want this old technology, so they're going to go into this like old beaten down fortress, but the battle droids are there. Like the Trade Federation is there. Like remnants of them exist and they're going to defend, but then you kill them all and you get the technology.
Well, the people who'd be using it would be the rebels. They'd be the ones repurposing
as an
that.
example.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe Empire wants to destroy it. Whatever. Like there
Empire's
are
got
reasons
some-
you could have rebels and Imperials fighting against battle droids.
Yeah, I think it's just I like the idea of I'm always kind of there's always been that divide just aesthetically between periods of between the years of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And people didn't really bridge the gap that well, but like it'd be kind of cool to have like
Rebels
some.
is doing really well.
All right, fair enough. But I mean, to
I'm
take
telling
some
you,
of
you
that,
will love
all
Rebels.
right, fine. For the sake of conversation
I was
on
gonna
this
start-
podcast.
I was going to start watching that this weekend, actually.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Can't recommend it enough.
Red
It's
Bull.
really short.
Cool. Well,
I got like 30 more things, man.
oh,
I
go
can
for
keep
it.
going.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Obvious stuff. Star Wars Rebels expansion. Boom. Star Wars Episode 7 expansion. Boom. I think a lot of those are going to have to be aesthetically different. Guarantee you that if either of those exist, sure the Episode 7 one will. That'll be paid.
Oh yeah,
Like
that'll
you
be
are not
pretty
getting
awesome.
Episode 7 Stormtroopers without paying that extra money.
Yeah.
Yep.
We talked about getting a campaign. I still want in-atmosphere dogfights. Like I don't want to have to go to space for that. We had a tweet from... Oh, God, where is it? From William. He said in space he wants to take down ships, and then that transitions
boarding.
into boarding,
Oh God.
right?
That's awesome.
Like you disable it, and then you board it, and then you take
Nice.
stuff. And,
Yeah.
Just take that. Yeah, take that.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed.
Which, again, plays into like the idea of Battlefield Bad Company 2 Rush-style gameplay. I don't ever want to play as a Jedi in Battlefront. A lot
Yeah,
of
me
people
neither.
do. In Battlefront 2, you could basically just get a kill streak, and that would let you play as Boba Fett, or Darth Vader, or Obi-Wan, or whatever. I don't want any of that.
Why?
Because the thing about Battlefront that's interesting for me is you are that expendable soldier, and you are the one little guy making that big difference in a big battle, and to suddenly like take that away and it's like now I got a lightsaber. You're playing a different game, and that's not
Sure.
why I'm there.
That feels like a perk. No, you're totally right.
And I don't want that major advantage. I don't want I want to fight alongside a Jedi. I would love for like okay we're there. and Darth Vader is here, and he is fighting alongside us to get to the Rebel base. And we are protecting him, and we are ensuring that the path is just paved for him.
Yep.
Like stormtroopers do. Like when he boarded Tantive 4, he had this like flank of stormtroopers with him. It was awesome. I want that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'd like to have lightsabers as a weapon, but not just be super overpowered with them.
Yeah.
That's one thing that really
Like you
bugs
don't
me.
quite know how to use it.
Is like, yeah, in like the prequels, there are like a million lightsabers everywhere. And theoretically, somebody
Yeah.
collected them, like General Grievous or whatever, or Jawas, or somebody's just like, we're going to sell these. You know, we're going to sell these to grade schoolers, and they're going to put each other's eyes out, whatever. Here's a laser pointer. But like, you know, Obi-Wan's like, here's a very special thing, and it's like, we've seen how many of them there are. You know, like there's no, like
But that was the big deal thing. Like Luke lost his and had to make a new one.
he couldn't just go out to like the, you know, the 5 and dime or whatever, the old, go on eBay, look up lightsabers. You know, I don't know. That'd be kind of cool if you could have lightsabers, but it's like it's really up to you if you want to use that. It'd be like using, I don't know, like using a sniper rifle, where it's like you kind of have to be good at knowing what you're doing. Like you know, you're gonna you gotta get close.
So that's the thing of like vehicle combat is a huge thing in dice games, and when you hop into an AT-AT and an AT-ST, those are enormously powerful things. But I want it to be that kind of risk. I want you to have to be good to use it effectively. To that end, I would love it because the entire game's a first-person game. A lot of people want a third-person camera. I kind of like the idea of sticking to first.
Yeah.
Because I want to sit in a TIE fighter cockpit in first person. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love the idea of getting into an AT-ST and just having that crap window to look through.
Yeah.
Well, like I have amazingly powerful guns, but I don't know anything that's anywhere else around me.
Yeah, I'd love it.
I'd like it to be a little bit like Titanfall, you know, like, and there's gonna be dudes like, you know, jetpacking and
Yeah.
grappling, hooking up on
Yeah.
there, and Ewoks throwing
Totally.
logs at you, and you're just,
Traps and stuff on Endor would be awesome. Like,
yeah,
man,
yep.
great.
I'd love if you were in an AT-ST in the cockpit and you saw the side of a tree trunk come in and basically kill you.
Yeah.
You're sitting, it's just like,
Or I want a
That'd be
kill
awesome.
streak perk to just be the Death Star destroys the map and everyone loses.
The Call of Duty nuke.
Yeah.
That'd be so great. Alex tweets, he says he wants to jump from his crashing speeder bike onto his friends. And that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Good one, yeah.
Totally want that.
I would like for space combat to have separate objectives from ground objectives, like rather than, oh, it's conquest, but you're in space and you have to get out of your ship, which is fun to get in and just do ground combat, but in space. Like have separate stuff going on, like destroying or taking down a Corellian Corvette or something else like that. Jeff says that he wants Tauntaun combat. Big fan of that. John says he wants Bantha combat. Big fan of that.
Yep.
What about that
Animals.
Dubak? What about Dubak?
Bantha
Dubak?
combat?
Dubak.
like battering rams into each
Like-
other?
Except they're
like-
just really slow.
Like riding a Bantha.
Be like
and
the
shooting
Far Cry
things off the
elephants.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
it would.
Just with
oh,
a lot of
man.
hair on it, yeah.
Okay.
But I would love to be out on Hoth and be like, all right, well, some people take Tauntauns, and I got
Now I want a Tatooine Far Cry game
That would be pretty good.
man.
with Kawaki and lizard monkeys jumping out of the trees trying to kill you.
They made it. It was called
Dragon.
Pulling your eyeballs
They
out.
made that
oh
game.
my
It was
god.
called Far Cry 2.
You have Tatooine malaria.